Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you guys? So I had a chat last night with a wonderful lady who I used to be married to, and which a lifetime ago, like a lifetime ago. And she doesn't live in my hometown, so we don't see each other that often. But she called and we ended up talking on the phone for about an hour and 20 minutes. It was really nice, and of course we talked about awakening. We talked about consciousness. When I met this lady years ago, she was well on her path of realization, self-realization, of you know awareness of consciousness, and has spent her life helping others, being of service, and we talked a bit about. So she helped me to remember the different paths of awakening, different paths to realization of self. And I don't mean self, the ego self. I mean self, the God self. And whether it's through prayer, I think prayer is part of every path. Through service, and actually service, I think, is part of every path. Through meditation, and meditation's probably the one I've struggled with the most. And we talked a bit about that, because it's she years ago helped me to sit. She doesn't remember. We talked about it last night. She said, I don't remember doing that. But she used to have a little timer, and she taught me to just sit for 3 or 4 minutes, because I was so kind of self-obsessed, the small s, you know, that it was impossible for me to sit, because my mind was just exploding. There's one thing to have a busy mind, but my mind would just be exploding with thoughts, and so. But she got me going on meditation. She said, can you sit for for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and yes, I did, and I think when we first met, I was. She helped me with a lot of things too, around looking after my body. I remember I was drinking 7-Eleven big gulps, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're doing what?" I was in recovery about 10 or 11 years at the time, and thought I knew it all, and but I wasn't taking care of myself very well, and I was pretty full of fear and different forms of ego, pride, and I knew that the only way to find peace was to find this relationship with a higher power. But boy, oh boy, I was resistant, and even though I was sober and in recovery, I was very resistant, and God sent me this beautiful lady, and we ended up having a beautiful son, and then she kind of moved on, and but it's really sweet that we've had this lifelong relationship and friendship and caring, for each other and each other's families. But my message today is about different paths to this awakening, and how bad do we want it? I mean, wanting it doesn't bring it, but if we don't want it, we won't find it. And if you think, well, what is the it he's talking about? And that's a good question. Like that's a good question to ponder. What is that? What is the it he's talking about? So it, is consciousness. It is universal intelligence. It is, the spirit of Father of light. there's so many different ideas, different, we'll call them concepts, of so many different concepts of this thing that we call God, that we call oneness, the isness, the stillness. Um, but, so meditate on that. What is that? Ask that question, to that thing that we can't really describe. Ask that question. Who are you? Tell me who you are. And not just of ourselves, which is a great question for ourselves, but who is that? And be a seeker. Really be a seeker. So not for, careful, I would say, to watch, there's a lot of dogma around, lots of, you know, sometimes religious dogma that will maybe can sometimes trap us in a certain idea of it, even in the quasi New Age idea is still a lot of dogma, a lot of certainty that you're like, this is the way. And I often have fun with my New Age friends, and because I'll say, well, tell me about that. What is it that, how are you having a personal relationship with that? And so learning to spout stuff isn't the same as having a personal relationship, and that's what's available is a real relationship with the moment. Be here now, and so yeah, I wrote a little something last night that I'm going to read to you, and it was let's see if I can find it. Um, ta-da, ta-da. I think I can. Uh-huh. Last night I wrote this little thing about this lady was asking me about how to. Oh, we were talking about making amends, and and the and she wanted to know. She had said that her amends was mainly to herself. She said, my amends is mainly to me. I'm the one that got hurt the most. And and I want to remind us that part of again this path is to get out of the road, and it's hard for us to kind of realize that we have been self-centered in a sense of we weren't God-centered, we were self-centered, and so we were living in fear, and so we always tried to put ourselves first, and which didn't do a lot for our relationships with others. So, in making amends, often it isn't so much for the other person. In a way, it is for us. When we clean up the wreckage of the past, we're no longer carrying that shame or that fear or that guilt of that, and it opens up the channel so we can experience the relationship. So I wrote to her, she wanted to know what I had said there was more, beyond, a personal amends to ourselves. And I think the amends we make to ourselves, of course, is just, getting on this path. It's like, okay, life does change. And I said, okay, the purpose is to go beyond right and wrong. We do clean up the past transgressions as a method to be free of the past. We live in another dimension, free of guilt, or shame, or fear, or desire, or blame, or judgment. Imagine living in a dimension that was free of guilt and shame, fear or desire, or blame or judgment, where nothing is missing and everything is for us. It's complete. That dimension is called now. And, it just just kind of came to me that, practice being present as part of your path to awakening, to realization. Be here. If we're not here, well, most of us don't know that we're not here. We think that we are, but that's it. As soon as we're thinking, we're not here. And so just practice being here, sitting in the chair, just being here. Okay, I'm going to, I've yacked a little more than I intended to. I'm going to read this little thought for the day. It's the 21st. And April 21st, this little book, there we go. Let's says after we've been in AA a while, we find out that we're going to stay sober. We find out that if we're going to stay sober, we have to be humble. So that humility is what I'm speaking of. The men we see in AA who have really made the grade are all humble people. When I stop to think that, but for the grace of God, I might be drunk right now, I can't help but feeling humble. Gratitude to God for His grace makes me humble. When I think of the kind of person I was not so long ago, when I think of the man I left behind me, I've got nothing to be proud of. Right? Am I grateful and humble? The pride he's talking about, of course, is false pride. I get what he's saying. The humility is a gratitude humility, for sure. Thank you for my recovery. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my relationship with the moment. Thank you for this beautiful day. Gratitude and humility are certainly brother and sister. Meditation for the day. I must arise from the death, he says, from the death of sin and selfishness, and put on a new life of integrity. All the old sins and temptations must be laid in the grave, and a new existence rises up from the ashes. Yesterday is gone. All my sins are forgiven, if I've honestly tried to do God's will today. Today is here, the time of resurrection and renewal. I must start now, today, to build a new life of complete faith and trust in God and a determination to do His will in all things. So those are the paths. He's talking about exactly what I was saying, is that the paths to awakening. Yeah, right there in that little prayer or meditation for the day. Prayer for the day, I pray that I may share in making the world a better place to live in. I pray that I may do what I can to bring goodness to a little nearer to earth. Bring goodness a little nearer to earth. Beautiful. Here we are. Goodness a little nearer to the moment. Everything is here. It's just about us being here with it. Listen to the birds. Can you hear them? There's a little pile of branches right here. They're just in it big time. Hi, guys. Okay, we're going to do a really short meditation. All right? So like 3 minutes. Boom, boom. I want you to join me for a very short 3-minute meditation. Can you meditate for 3 minutes? Can you sit? That's all it is. Just sit for 3 minutes. Right? Just join me and sit with me and the birds. This beautiful sunshine for 3 minutes. I'm going to put my glasses on. Okay, just close your eyes. We're going to drop into this space that we're in. For me, there's so many things to bring me into now. Here, there's the wind on my face. Just a light breeze on my face brings me into this moment. I'm here with that breeze. There's the sounds of the birds. The heat of the sun on my face. All these things bring me into now. Wherever you're sitting, experience where you're sitting. You're sitting in the front seat of your car. Just feel that. Any sounds that are around you, just experience those sounds. Allow the sounds to bring you into the moment. Be here your breath. The breath is always a great vehicle to this moment. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing that moment. And I want to encourage you to do this on a regular basis, just to practice, even if it's a short sit, just to practice being here, wherever we are. We begin to go beyond the filtration of the mind into the now. It will come. I guarantee it. Just continue to do this. Continue to ask to be shown. Continue to help others. Continue to study the teachings, whatever teachings you're studying. I have many teachers. Of course, our 12-step program is an amazing teacher. It's the most direct route. I listen to Muji and Ramdas, read the Bhagavad Gita, the Psalms of David, and many great teachings. Dr. Hawkins, all bring us into this moment, to this awareness. Okay, thank you, love you so much.